In the quiet snow-brushed town of Millersburg, Ohio, where cornfields met cold highways, Travis Moore lived a life most people never noticed. At 30, he ran a one-man garage beside a faded diner and an old pharmacy, fixing everything from rusty pickups to school buses. Travis wasn't rich, didn't speak much, and never advertised his work. But those who knew him trusted him. His hands were steady, his heart steady too. One freezing afternoon, as he locked up early due to a power outage, he spotted a woman struggling beside a minivan across the street. Her teenage daughter lay slouched in a wheelchair, motionless. The chair's front wheel was bent inward, dragging against the pavement. Travis jogged over, his boots crunching through slush, and asked, "Need a hand?" The woman, shivering and worn down, nodded gratefully. "We've been to 3 clinics this week. No one helps anymore," she said. Travis lifted the girl gently, noticing the way her legs didn't respond. "I'm Travis," he said. "Bring it by my shop tomorrow. Let's take a look." The next morning, Rachel and her daughter Ava arrived, the wheelchair squeaking with every bump. Travis cleared a spot in his garage and examined it while they sat nearby. The frame was warped, the electronic motor barely functioned, screws were missing, and the backrest padding was worn to the metal. "What happened?" he asked gently. Rachel explained through tears. 2 years ago, Ava had been a soccer player, full of fire and joy. A car accident during a family trip to Kentucky had changed everything. Spinal damage, multiple surgeries, dozens of specialists. "They all gave us hope at first," Rachel said. "Then ... they just stopped calling." Ava, silent through most of it, finally spoke. "It's okay. I'm used to sitting still." Travis paused and looked at her, not with pity, but with purpose. "What if I made you something better than this?" he asked. Ava raised an eyebrow. "You a doctor?" Travis shook his head. "No, I just fix things people give up on." That evening, Travis stayed in the garage long after dark. He took apart the broken wheelchair, piece by piece, laying its parts across a workbench like an autopsy. He didn't see a medical device, he saw a failed machine. One that hadn't been designed by someone who cared about who would use it. He remembered a project he'd worked on years ago: custom suspension systems for off-road vehicles. Shock absorption, flexibility, stability. It hit him like a jolt. Why not build a chair that didn't just move, but adapted? That night, he sketched the first design on an old receipt, not a replacement, but a transformation, a device that could respond to uneven ground, self-level on inclines, and remain smooth over cracks and bumps. A chair that would make movement feel like flying. The idea gripped him so tightly, he barely slept. Over the next several days, Travis began gathering parts. He salvaged coils and dampers from old ATVs, rewired an old joystick module from a scrapped gaming chair, and even began experimenting with custom 3D printed frames. When Ava and Rachel came by on day 4 to check in, they were surprised to see sparks flying and pieces already coming together. Ava approached quietly and watched him adjust the wheel alignment with a digital calibrator. "You really think it'll work?" she asked. Travis turned to her, wiping sweat from his forehead. "It's not about thinking, it's about trying, like no one else has." Ava handed him something, a folded piece of paper. Inside, a handwritten note read, "I don't expect a miracle, but thank you for trying." Travis stared at it for a long moment, then pinned it above his workbench. "This," he said softly, "is better than a paycheck." By day 7, the chair began to take shape. Sleek, low-profile wheels with double torque motors. An adjustable seat cradle with memory foam. Built-in temperature regulation for winter days like these. Travis worked 12-hour shifts, stopping only when his hands started shaking or when Rachel dropped by with coffee. As she watched the project grow, Rachel couldn't hold back her emotions. "You don't even know us," she whispered. "Why would you do all this?" Travis didn't look up from his soldering. "Because nobody helped my little brother either," he said. That was the first and last time he ever mentioned him. Rachel didn't press. She just watched him tighten every bolt like he was healing something far deeper than steel. Ava, too, began visiting more often, staying longer. She offered advice, even named the chair Jet, because, as she said, "If it works, I want it to fly." For the first time in years, she looked forward to something. On the 10th day, as the wind howled outside and snow blanketed the street, Travis stood back from his creation. It was finished, a matte black frame, sleek and futuristic. The wheels rotated silently. The seat adjusted with a whisper. The control system responded to the lightest touch. He ran it through tests on the cracked pavement behind the shop. Smooth, stable, silent. He looked up at the note pinned on the wall. Ava's notehand, nodded. That evening, he called Rachel. "It's ready," he said. They arrived 20 minutes later, Ava wrapped in a blanket, eyes wide with cautious hope. Travis rolled the chair over and said, "Want to take Jet for a spin?" With Rachel's help, he transferred Ava into the new seat and adjusted the safety harness gently around her shoulders. "Try it," he said. Ava gripped the joystick and pushed forward. The chair glided. Ava's hand trembled as she pressed the joystick. The chair moved silently forward, no jerking, no hesitation. just smooth, steady motion. Her eyes widened as she turned it left, then right, then in a full circle. For the first time in 2 years, she wasn't focused on the pain or the fear of tipping over. She was just moving freely. Rachel gasped, covering her mouth as tears welled up. "It's like you're floating," she whispered. Travis stood off to the side, arms crossed, heart pounding. Ava drove the chair toward him and stopped. "It listens to me," she said with a stunned smile, "like it knows where I want to go." Travis finally smiled. "Too. That's because it's built for you. Not for hospitals or insurance forms for you." Ava looked down at her hands on the controls, then back up. "Can I go outside?" Travis stepped aside and opened the garage door. Snow was falling, but it didn't matter. Ava rolled forward into the light, laughing as she crossed the threshold of the garage and onto the sidewalk. The wheels adapted instantly to the uneven surface. The chair didn't shake. It didn't slip. It responded to her slightest motion. She turned onto the street and spun in a slow circle. "This is insane," she said, half laughing, half crying. Travis and Rachel followed behind slowly. Cars passed by, and people stared. At first, they didn't recognize her, but then they did. "That's Ava King," someone whispered. "Isn't she the girl from the accident?" Another voice said, "That chair's like nothing I've ever seen." Ava didn't hear them. She was busy feeling the cold air on her cheeks and the quiet thrill of control again. When she finally stopped, she turned to Travis and said, "This isn't just a wheelchair. It's a comeback." Travis nodded. He'd seen a lot of things in his life, but nothing like that moment. He had rebuilt engines, trucks, and transmissions, but now, he had helped rebuild a soul. Word traveled faster than either of them expected. Within 2 days, someone from the local newspaper visited the garage. Followed by a regional TV station, they filmed Ava doing laps in the parking lot and interviewed Travis under a flickering Moore's auto sign. When asked why he did it, Travis simply said, "Everyone else tried to fix what was broken inside her. I just fixed what no one else was willing to build, right?" Ava called it her freedom machine. The clip went viral online, and emails began flooding in from parents of disabled children, veterans, schools, and mobility groups asking if he could make more. Travis had never planned on this becoming something bigger, but as he read the messages at night in his garage, something inside him shifted. Maybe this was why all his past failures had led here, not just to fix Ava's life, but to create something that could help thousands more. Meanwhile, Rachel opened a small online fundraiser to support building more custom chairs like Ava's. She titled it, "Give Someone Their Wheels Back." The goal was $10,000. Within a week, it crossed $85,000. Donations came in from across the country's small towns, big cities, strangers who had never met Ava or Travis but were touched by what they stood for. One woman from Texas wrote, "My son hasn't smiled in a year. Watching your daughter in that chair gave me hope again." Another, from New Jersey, offered to donate 3D printing materials. Local engineering students began volunteering at Travis's garage. What was once a one-man auto shop became a workshop of innovation and community. Travis renamed it JetWorks Mobility after Ava's nickname for the first chair. When he told Ava about the name change, she said, "You're not just fixing trucks anymore." Travis smiled. "I think I'm fixing what needs fixing most." Months passed. Ava's life changed in every way. She went back to school, rejoined her art club, and even led a talk at a local disability awareness event. She no longer looked at the ground when people stared now. She looked them in the eye. "Travis gave me my life back," she said during her first public speech, "and not just mine. He showed all of us that mobility isn't dignity." Her words struck hearts. Even hospitals began contacting JetWorks Mobility, asking for partnerships. Travis, still modest and soft-spoken, kept working long hours in the garage-turned-lab. He built 7 more chairs in the first 6 months each, customized to a child's specific needs. Each time he delivered one, he watched another light come back into someone's life. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't easy, but it was real. 1 year to the day after Ava first rolled into the snow with her new chair, the town of Millersburg held a small ceremony. They named the alley behind Travis's garage Freedom Way. Ava unveiled the new sign herself, with Rachel beside her. Travis stood off to the side again, uncomfortable with the attention, but deeply moved. A reporter asked if he ever planned to sell the design to a big company. He shook his head. "If I do that, it'll just become another product with a price tag. I'd rather keep building one by one for people, not profits." The reporter smiled and said, "So what do you call yourself, now mechanic or inventor?" Travis looked at Ava, who was surrounded by other kids in wheelchairs, laughing and playing. He wiped his hands on a rag and replied, "Neither. I just fix what others say can't be fixed."